I feel time travel is something that crosses everyone's mind from time to time. What if I could go back and change something in my life? What if I could have a second chance at something I did wrong? Well, it seems game developers find this concept interesting as well. Here's what I feel are the 10 best time travel games. Braid might be more accurately described as having time manipulation rather than time travel, but it's an interesting gameplay mechanic that makes Braid's puzzles stand out. You can rewind at any point, even after you die. As the puzzles become more complex, rewinding time becomes necessary to solve them. What makes the time manipulation in Braid so intriguing though, is the final level, where rewinding time paints a much different picture than what you saw before, and creates questions about the story. As the title Partners in Time suggests, the second game in the Mario & Luigi RPG series involves time travel. In particular, Mario and Luigi team up with Baby Mario and Baby Luigi to save the Mushroom Kingdom from aliens known as the Shroobs. Mario and Luigi Partners in Time involves jumping back and forth between the past and present, and dealing with the past versions of many characters. If you want to experience a serious time travel story, this isn't the place to look. It's a Mario game after all, and its light-hearted approach to time travel isn't concerned with scientific accuracy. But whether it's Professor Egad coming up with a new idea because of something Mario and Luigi told his younger self, or any of the other paradoxes created by Mario's time-hopping adventures, Mario and Luigi Partners in Time uses the concept of time travel to have a lot of fun. The first Bayonetta involved a little time travel. In fact, it was a key part of the climax. Bayonetta 2, however, takes it even further. Not only has a character in the game been brought forward in time to trigger the events of the game, but Bayonetta also travels back through time in one memorable section to fight alongside her mother. What really makes it worthy of praise is the way the climax plays out. Bayonetta 2 comes around full circle to create a time loop. It may not be perfect, but it sets up the events of the original game in a brilliant and striking scene. The first game in the Tales series came out in 1995, although it wouldn't officially make it to the West until its Game Boy Advance port in 2006. Tales of Phantasia set the stage for many Tales games that would follow it, and it also featured time travel. In fact, it's somewhat of a time travel chase. We have a villain who escapes into the future, heroes from that future who travel back in time to defeat him before that point, and other era-hopping antics as Cress Albane and his companions try to stop the evil King Deos. Its use of time travel isn't revolutionary, but Tales of Phantasia still tells a fun story with some interesting twists. From the creator of the Ace Attorney series, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective makes use of an unusual form of time travel. The main character, Cecil, has the ability to travel back in time to 4 minutes before a person's death. 4 minutes is nothing compared to the time travel that usually shows up in games, but it gives Cecil the chance to avert the death in question. But Cecil's power isn't just a fun gameplay mechanic, it's also a core part of the plot, and this odd style of time travel is key to learning the truth behind his death and saving the day. The Legend of Zelda series loves time travel. From games that embrace it fully, like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, to games that just use it as a minor gameplay element like Phantom Hourglass, many Legend of Zelda games could qualify for this list. Of all of them, however, I think Ocarina of Time uses time travel the best. Ocarina of Time begins with Link as a child, but partway through the game, there's a time skip. Link is sealed away for 7 years and awakens as an adult, old enough to use the Master Sword. The player can then jump between the two timelines. Some tasks must be completed by Link as a child, while others must be completed by him as an adult. What makes this even more interesting is that Ocarina of Time causes a split in the Legend of Zelda timeline that leads to 3 parallel futures, one that follows Link after he returns to being a child and stops Ganondorf from rising to power, and one that remains in the adult timeline after Link has overthrown Ganondorf and left, and to most fans' surprise, one in which Link is defeated. These branching timelines lead to other games in the series. Alright, so time travel in the Legend of Zelda series isn't the easiest thing to follow. It has paradoxes and inconsistencies, and trying to unravel it only causes more questions. Nevertheless, the time travel gameplay in Ocarina of Time certainly makes the game fun, and the split timeline is an interesting way to reconcile the various games in the series. Life is Strange takes the rewind concept of time travel and pairs it with a dark and emotional story. When teenager Max Clawfield discovers she has the power to rewind time, she attempts to use her power to help the people around her, unravel the twisted mysteries surrounding their school, and prevent disaster from striking the town. In terms of gameplay, Max's time travel creates some unique situations. When she rewinds time, she remains in the same spot and keeps anything she picked up. For example, you can break into a locked room, rewind time, and remain in the room with the broken lock repaired. You can also rewind time to experiment with different dialogue options. It's a wild and intense journey, and while it doesn't delve too deeply into the nature of time travel itself, in fact, the time travel sometimes feels secondary to Max's interpersonal relationships and the mystery, despite being the critical part of the story. It does question the morality of messing with time and explores the consequences of using such a power, both for Max and the world around her. In Professor Layton and the Unwound future, the professor receives a letter from someone who claims to be Luke writing to him from the future. In the letter, he asks for help and says future London is in danger. Layton and Luke soon enter an apparent time machine and emerge into what appears to be London 10 years in the future. Anyone familiar with the Professor Layton series will immediately be suspicious of this and expect the professor to eventually reveal the time travel to be the result of a trick, and in keeping with Professor Layton themes, be even more illogical and bizarre than actual time travel. But regardless of what is really at work, time travel and time machines are at the core of Unwound Future's plot. And just when you think you have everything figured out, the game hits you with one last twist, making Professor Layton and the Unwound Future one of the best time travel games around. When people think of time travel in video games, Chrono Trigger is the name that usually jumps to mind. This popular JRPG begins in the year 1000 AD, but an accidental time portal causes the characters to travel back into the past. While trying to escape, another portal carries them to the year 2300 AD, where the world has been devastated by a being called Lavos. They then vow to prevent this bad future from coming to pass. Not only does Chrono Trigger tell an epic story across multiple eras of time, it also makes sure time travel has an effect on its world. Changes in the past alters things in the future. For example, you can save a forest in one era to make it reappear in future eras. This gives the player plenty of ways to play around with time travel. And let's not forget that Chrono Trigger's New Game Plus allows you to defeat Lavos at different points during the timeline, leading to a multitude of endings. With an original release in 1995, Chrono Trigger is one of the earliest games to use time travel, and it set the standard for many of the games that followed. Many people would name it as the best game about time travel, but for me, there's one that stands out even more than Chrono Trigger. First released in 2009 and officially translated several years later, Steins is a visual novel about a self-proclaimed mad scientist Okabe Rintaro and his friends, who accidentally create a time machine. In particular, they accidentally send emails to the past, and their experimentation with these emails leads them to dig deeper into time travel. What follows is an intense story about the consequences of messing with time and NicoB's determination to protect the people he loves. But while its strong story alone places it up there with the best of the best, what really makes Steins Gate stand out to me as the best time travel video game is its use of science. Steins Gate includes debates over theories of time travel and what makes some impossible, and the time paradoxes that could arise. When time travel becomes possible, the characters go through scientific explanations of how it works, and if heavy scientific discussion isn't your thing, don't worry, because another character usually requests a simpler explanation for the layman. Steins Gate is brilliantly written. It embraces the questions and problems surrounding time travel, and everything comes together in an impressive and fantastic conclusion. There are many great video games about time travel, but Steins Gate might just be the best of them all. If you enjoyed this list, leave a like, and if you want to see more lists I've made, click here for 10 games that started as other projects, or here for the top 10 horror games of 2016, and if you want to see more in the future, subscribe.